All right, is it live for you guys now? Huh. Cool. All right, and I'm gonna start the intro. Hello, and welcome to the Deadstream. My name is CZ, and I will be your host this episode. And I am joined this afternoon by the Fluff of Nightmares, Lady White Rabbit.
Hello.
We are also joined by the third voice of death, Mortis Media.
Hey guys.
You're listening to episode 0 of the Deadstream. So we've got a lot of news for this month's episode, but before we get into that, you guys have been busy with your projects, so what have you guys released this month, and do you guys have any projects you want to talk about? Do you want to kick that off, Rabbit?
Yes. Recently I've changed a little bit of a direction on my channel. Usually I am strictly creepypasta and fiction, but since a lot of people have been asking me to do more true stories, as a lot of my audience comes from a true story horror channel, I decided to start doing documentaries on horror that happened in history. The latest I uploaded was about the Chernobyl disaster, which I'm really proud of, as well as a documentary on Centralia, the town that Silent Hill is based off of. So if you want to learn about horror in history, or if you want to hear more about something you just heard small bits of information on, I'd be happy to research it and do my own documentaries on that.
And how's that been going for you so far? I know that you put up a poll on Twitter today asking like kind of what people would prefer.
So far, what I've seen is pretty much 50-50. People are happily accepting the new change on the channel, and I'm gaining interest from people who don't just want to hear fictional stories, which I totally understand. And I'm having a lot of fun researching this stuff. It's all really interesting to me.
That's good. I think it's always fun, at least on my channel, to experiment with different formats, and when it works out, it's really nice to kind of rake in some new audiences. Now, Mort, you've really been experimenting with some new stuff on your channel. So you went on this trip, and you got back and dropped a bomb on everybody. Do you want to talk about that for a little while?
Well, yeah, I mean, I went away for, 3 months, and uploads were sporadic at best, not very consistent. But when I got back, because when I left, I just lost my job because everyone in the company got made redundant, which is always fun. So I thought, you know what, lots of people going daily, and even after this crisis that went on, I thought I'm just gonna have a stab at it, just see what happens. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, I suppose it's back to 2-3 times a week, because we've got to be realistic here. But yeah, that's pretty much it. But
That's
I didn't
awesome.
realize how.
I feel like you're living the dream right now.
Well, I'd like to say I am, but I never really quite appreciated just how hard going daily really is. I mean, I've seen other channels. I mean, you guys must have seen them as well. Lots of people uploading hour-long videos or more every day, and I find that a lot of the expectation now is to upload far longer content, and it's so hard to juggle your whole life and make an hour video every day, which is why it's nigh impossible in my case. So I'm just trying with 20 minutes, half an hour, see how it goes really. The audience still don't mind, but I mean, you've got to do what you've got to do to get by.
Yeah, I mean, that would be my concern, is just like finding that many stories to read that are interesting. Like, I think you could get into like kind of settle into the workflow of recording and editing stuff every day. Especially if you have like a format that you stick to, but just like finding interesting content to read every day has to be like a big task on its own.
Well, yeah, that is true. I mean, Reddit's pretty much getting exhausted, and I mean, I try and steer clear of like Let's Not Me and No Sleep if I ever going down there, because everyone under the sun is there and everyone's doing that. So it's just hard to find good content and things that people haven't listened to, because that's my petty hate. People coming over thinking, oh, I heard this before, I'm good, I don't think I need to come back to this channel anymore.
Right.
So it's quite challenging, but
yeah,
it's always fun to try and find new sources.
That's exactly one of the things that like I run into when I'm listening to stuff. Like I'll hear something on like Lazy Masquerade, and then I'll go over and listen to something from B-Busta, and it'll be the same story, and it's like you're not really putting much of a different twist on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've heard this before, I'm okay, maybe I'll find another video, and then, you know, the interest is gone.
So why don't we jump into a little bit of the news? We've got a lot of different subjects to talk about. One of the latest of which has been this Patreon scammer that has been, for whatever reason, targeting the horror community. I don't really know why. Have you guys heard about this guy?
The Dominic
No,
person?
I haven't.
Yeah, the Dominic W guy.
Yeah, he popped up on one of my videos as spam 2 days ago, so that was funny.
So what did he say in your video?
He pretty much said the same thing. Hey, I'm Dominic. I'm really interested in starting a video like you, but I can't because I don't have any money. So please pop by my Patreon and give me money so that I can start making videos. And I think, well, it's kind of counterintuitive asking for the money before you make anything, because no one can evaluate whether it's any worth.
Right.
So,
and as far as I can tell, he doesn't say like what he wants to make.
No, precisely. And when you actually look, it's a little bit ludicrous. But people actually have given money, but I'm not sure. He could have set up those accounts himself, and people might think, oh, well, if someone's donating, maybe I'll chip in. But I hope they don't buy into this scam, because it's always sad when people get suckered in by scammers. People are obviously just trying to take their money.
Yeah, that's a good point about the multiple accounts. I wasn't really thinking about that. So I have this tweet from Mr. Davis, and apparently this guy's been bothering his channel a lot. And he said that he went on the Patreon, and the guy has like 67 patrons.
Oh, wow. It's more than I anticipated.
Wow.
And I think it's more than like a lot of big channels have. Or I shouldn't say big channels, but a lot of like the mid-tier size channels don't have that many.
Mm-mm.
So hopefully a lot of those are just like fake accounts set up by himself. I'm all for.
We hope so.
I'm all for clever get-rich schemes, but I wouldn't want to do it at the expense of the audience.
No, it's just such a scummy thing to do as well, to entice people, and to people who actually want to be generous, but to get nothing out of it. It's just not very nice. No. I hope he goes away or gets deleted from Patreon if someone can block him or something.
I think the Patreon may have been taken down, but I think the YouTube channel that he was using is still up. And then there was another follow-up tweet that came from that spooky guy, and he said he thinks that Dominic changed his name to like Anna E or something.
Oh yeah, that's another one I got, so it is true. Or maybe there's multiple accounts, sending it to the same thing.
Right. But if he is, I don't know, do you think that there is a YouTube channel that he's going to start from that, or do you think it's all just a scam that like he's going to collect the money and then close his Patreon and never be heard from again?
I'm quite sure he'll probably end up doing that. I mean, it's very unlikely that someone would go to all this trouble to start a YouTube channel and never explicitly specify what it is that you're going to do.
Yeah, that is very suspicious.
It's just so dodgy. No, I don't know what to say, but I just think it's so scummy just to do that. I mean, it really grinds my gears, in all honesty.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Have you guys been getting spam comments on your channels for something called? It's always a female profile picture. It's called like Your Girl or Anna Your Girl or something like that.
Yeah, I think I have been getting that.
Yeah, every single every video I just get these spam comments. Obviously they redirect you to I'm not entirely sure. I haven't actually clicked on anything, but obviously I think it might be a virus or it might be something else. but it's obviously some trash website. So I don't know. They always just pop up. So I'm thinking maybe it's the rise of bots who are just spam commenting on loads of people's channels.
Wait,
and like if it's
is this the
if
thing
it's not
where, sorry, is this the thing where it says like, hey, I have a video just about you? Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, I think, you know, this Patreon thing, and now this thing, I'm starting to see a trend in, you know, potentially people are starting to use the YouTube platform and abusing it to redirect people to give them money or to hack their computer or do whatever. I'm not entirely sure, but I hadn't seen it as much before, but it's certainly seeing it a lot more now.
Rabbit, do you think that this has always been the case, that like people have been using the comments and now these crowdfunding pains to try to scam people and get money, or do you think that this is like a result of the recent adpocalypse on YouTube, and now people have been exposing YouTube for money the entire time, but now people are trying to find other avenues since ad revenue isn't as relevant?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. I think because of the ad situation, people are trying to blend into the crowd of Patreon beggars on YouTube and just act like, oh, I'm just one of those people making content trying to get by and don't have ads. And it's easy to be generous towards everybody and not realize you're being scammed. I think they're definitely taking advantage of that.
I could just imagine like all of the known people in the community who have just like completely run dry out of ad money. They're like, okay, I'm going to try to find something else, and they're creating all these sub accounts. And then,
oh boy,
like the Dominic W guy is really like our favorite narrator or something like that. Just working behind the
gosh,
scenes.
My favorite narrator that he's never narrated anything ever.
Oh man, that would be, you know, a very funny twist on the situation. Hey guys, B-Buster is secretly Dominic W asking for money.
Yeah.
Oh jeez.
B-Buster exposed.
No.
That would make a good skit.
I just found when I read that, I was like, you're asking people who have Patreons for Patreon support. That seems pointless to me.
Right.
So like it even says, oh, this is going to go to your spam because there's a link. I'm like, so you know it's spam. You know I'm not going to accept it, and yet you're still asking specifically me for money. And no, obviously not.
Just wait until you have people who are going and donating to Patreons to promote their own Patreon. Like, I'm sure that's going to be a thing of the future, too.
A cycle of Patreon supporting Patreon.
Yeah.
It's all going to end quite badly.
So I've got plenty of other news here, but I think we can kind of save some of that for when we do the real episode 1. So why don't we jump into one of these stories? Mort, why don't you take the lead on being the narrator? So what we did before, we did one practice episode before, and someone narrated, and the other two just kind of jumped in and chimed in our comments and stuff.
Do you want me to do the first one? Pink creepy lady trying to lure boys into thee.
Let's do it.
Sounds good.
And by the way, these are just two, like the fastest ones I could find online. I think it's fun going into them, like having not known the story beforehand. And when we do the real episode, they're going to be like user submissions.
Okay, that's fine. All right then. Let's have a look then. So, you ready?
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Okay. I am 18. I have an extremely large Alsatian dog, which needs to be walked 3 times a day for about an hour.
Oh my god. Like,
wow.
That's quite a large undertaking already.
Gosh, I know. I could not do that. I am a large guy, and of the day of the encounter, I was wearing an extremely large, padded, and black leather jacket with skinny jeans. This is important later on.
Skinny jeans are out of fashion.
But just like the image that they've given for this character is already funny to me. So a huge guy wearing skinny jeans and
oh boy,
a black leather jacket.
Oh man.
The house.
Dog.
What, Don? My house is close to the large state park. I walk my dog here daily. I always take a secluded path off the main path. There are 2 of these paths which run parallel to each other. They are about 20 meters apart. One path runs adjacent to a river, over which there is an abandoned house/manor. The other path is higher up and overlooks the path next to the river. This is also important. So now, to get to my story.
It's so nice of this guy to tell us what all the important details are instead of making us figure it out on our own.
I'm sure.
Oh yeah. I left my house and started walking my dog at around 1 p.m.
Started wailing on my dog.
Wailing my dog. Oh no.
Oh, he needs to change that.
Took about an hour.
It turns out the narrator is the villain.
Plot twist.
Sorry, I can't stop laughing. I take the main path until reaching the secluded paths. I take the path closest to the river, so that my dog can go swimming. As I get around 1 mile in, I hear people talking from up and around the corner of the path.
Maybe he should let the dog go swimming like a little bit more often. Because if he has to watch this thing for 3 hours a day.
3 hours a day.
Yeah. Well, at that point, I would probably just get like a dog treadmill of some kind.
Nah, take him out. Take your recording device. Record your stories whilst you're there, whilst it's splashing about.
All right.
Right. I put my dog on a tight leash as I slowly walk up the hill, with a 10-meter drop down to the river. And around the corner, the hill's gradient begins to decline. As I look for the source of the noise, I see a lady in a pink blazer, sitting on the ground, talking to another man on the ground.
Did anyone else just imagine Amy Wong from Futurama?
Oh my god,
oh, yeah, right.
That's just going to be ingrained in my head for the rest of the story now.
Awesome, thank you. Now I gotta see that too.
As I approached, I realized something was wrong here. Fry wasn't there.
She's a cartoon character.
The woman was smiling. The man was sitting halfway down the hill, almost in the river, with his bike upturned next to him. It appeared to be some sort of accident. The path was not slippery, but was steep and narrow. The drop at this section of the path was around 8 meters of sharp rock into a white river. The pink lady had the...
Wait, so pink lady pink now or just the blazer?
Yeah, this guy needs to work on his adjectives. This pink lady had the following conversation with the man. Someone's coming. The man grumbled something. How did you know that? The lady said. My dog started crying and just walks off the path to go investigate. I pull him back. I ask if everything is okay, and she gives no response. She just smiles and looks towards the older, balding man. We stare at each other for a second, and I get a better look at her before continuing to walk down the path. Let me describe the lady in even more detail.
Oh, great,
thank God.
She wore a bright pink blazer with camouflage trousers and large hunting boots. She had to be at least in her late 40s. If any one of you have seen the Harry Potter films, just think of Dolores Umbridge, and you'll have a good idea of what I witnessed. After 10 minutes, the path forks. After 10 minutes, the path forks back or diverges to continue on. I decided to walk back, not on the same path. I ended up back at the main path.
So
and I started to walk away.
This is something that aspiring writers should not do, is spend half of the story just talking about like the layout of the path.
I was like, you need a map to figure out where this guy's going.
No, I know. But it got 123 upvotes, so I'm excited to see how he redeems himself.
Right.
I start to walk away, back home. But I get the feeling in my gut that I should go back. After all, that man could have been injured, and they were just intimidated by my sudden presence, or my grotesquely large dog. As I walk back down the path, I see this pink lady stop two boys, no older than 12, and say something about him being stuck and that he needs help. So, wait, what?
No, I'm
She
confused.
would have had to leave the man there. She would have
Wait,
had
so
to leave the man there.
the man is asking for help, or she's asking for help?
I think it's one of these things where, it's like a scam in real life, and they obviously abduct the boys and they're working together on something.
It's like Dominic
That's at
W in
least
real
how I
life.
feel. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Right. Instead of going to the path where the man was situated, I took the back path, which overlooked the path below and the river. As I look down, I am shocked. The man is moving his bike to a steeper part of the path and lies down, as if injured. The lady was luring these boys to the man who was not injured, capable of movement, and who had just staged an accident. I tried to phone 101, the non-emergency number in my country, but I had no minutes left.
What country is that where 101 is the non-emergency number?
I think it's here,
It is?
actually. So, yeah.
Is that like a well-known thing?
Well, no, wait, it's 111 here.
Okay.
Actually, not so. Here it's 999, not 911, and then they just
right.
added a few years ago the 111 for non-emergency stuff.
Because I
Don't know
think
what about
here,
101.
I think here it's like a full 7-digit number, but nobody knows it.
Oh yeah.
Like if you wanted to call it, you would have to look it up.
Yeah, exactly. You have to save it in your phone.
Why couldn't it be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Yeah,
You know, so everybody
Something-
can remember it.
all the kids will know that.
Yeah.
I decided I have to loop back around and walk down the path. It takes me 10 minutes to do so. As I get around, the lady and the man are arguing. The conversation went as follows. Now where are we meant to go? If you weren't such a spooky bitch, those boys would have come in. You were the one who said we couldn't tackle the big guy. At this moment, I go into panic. I made my presence clear and approached them quickly. I have to get past them as quickly as I can. I pull my dog closer to me, and as I'm passing them on the narrow path, less than 1 meter in length, the man gives me the dirtiest look, while the lady gives me the toothiest yellow smile I've ever seen. I'm not afraid to admit it. I was scared. I ran as quickly as I could out of those woods. When I do get out and reach a member of local... when I do get outreach, a member of the local government... Wait, what? When I do get out, reach a member of the local government.
Maybe when I do get out and then reach a member of the local
Yeah.
government.
Yeah, it's definitely missing some words there.
When I do get out and eventually reach a member of the local government. And now I lost where I was.
Oh,
Right. Whilst
it's a
walking
hard
past
sentence
the
to figure out.
Whilst walking past the parking lot and tell him what I witnessed in the conversation. Fortunately, the boys the lady was talking to had already reported this suspicious activity. He tells me the children had told him that the lady was claiming her husband had fallen off the path and needed some assistance. The boys fortunately didn't fall for it. They had called police as soon as the boys had told... He had called the police as soon as the boys had told him. I soon left and will not be returning to the part of the woods for a long time. So, creepy pink lady, if you ever see this, I hope you got caught for whatever sick thing you were plotting. And that's it.
Wow.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever seen the word path so many times in a story.
I think he loves detail. Almost a little bit too much.
You would think he would have like followed up on it though and told us like what happened. Like, was there an investigation?
Well, usually if they don't follow up, I always assume the answer is no.
Yeah. It seems like that happens all too often in these stories where it's like, oh, I could have done something about it, but I'm not going to. I just hope we don't meet again.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I think it's just lots of people they have their experience, and then when it comes to the crunch of actually perhaps reporting it, perhaps not reporting it, they think, oh, was it really that bad? Should I really bother? And if they don't say no, they're just too lazy and can't be asked. I read so many where it's literally like, oh, if only I would have reported it, because I realised a few years later it happened again and 4 people got murdered. Oh well. It's like, please, learn.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you know what? I think I am too lazy to report this. I'm just going to write like a 3-page story and post it on Reddit.
Yeah, that's how I'll get the message out there. Maybe the police will find it, maybe they won't. But either way, it's out there.
Right.
It's off my conscience. I'm guilt-free.
Cool. Do you want to head up the second story, Rabbit?
Oh, sure.
This
is Ghost in the Water.
Our creepypasta.
Ooh, ghost.
So this is my first post and a true story.
Okay, so already the one that was supposedly true, the previous story, didn't sound all that much true to me. This one is in our creepypasta, yet they claim it's a true story, so it seems like they're reversed.
Oh, of course. They gotta make everybody believe every creepypasta is true.
Just like Slenderman.
Slenderman. When I was about 11, I went to spend the night with a friend at his grandparents' house. They had a pool, and we intended to go to for a night swim and watch movies on his grandparents' huge TV. It was around 9:30 when my parents dropped me off at his driveway. I got to get my bag from the trunk of the car. As I closed the trunk, I hear a splash and a girl laugh. I assume this is my friend and his sister swimming.
God, has this guy ever heard of commas or...
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. That is one run-on sentence there.
Punctuation. Seriously.
Boy, oh boy. Upset I'm missing out on the night swim, I quickly tell my parents I love you, bye, and run up to the pool. I realize all the lights at the pool are out when I get to the gate. I think my friends were messing with me since they saw the car headlights and turned the lights off and hid to give me a scare.
Next time we should just have one of those counters like on CinemaSins, then every time there's a missing comma.
It's so hard to like read where I'm supposed to like turn down the voice for a comma because they're not there.
Right.
Exactly. I don't know about you, but when I see the wall of text, because that's what it is, because
there's
no... I almost have a panic attack because I'm like, I get lost so quickly if it's not paragraphed correctly.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I know.
Even if I'm just typing like an email to someone, I always just space everything out as much as possible to make it less intimidating.
I look back and my parents had left. I was suddenly alone in the pitch black pool deck. I knew where the lights were, so I said, "Ha ha, very funny. I know you guys are trying to scare me. I heard you laughing," and turn on the lights. With the pool illuminated, I can now see that there were ripples in the water, but no one was there. I look around and can't find anyone, but the water is moving as if someone recently got out of the water in the past few minutes.
I love the lengths that people will go to try to rationalize the things that they see in these stories.
Oh, sure. It was just the wind inside, I bet.
Right, and then the voices were just an echo from the other day.
Echo from the other day. I can't find my friends, and I start to feel very uneasy. This is when I hear a girl giggle, and all of a sudden, there's a splash in the pool, as if someone just jumped in. I saw the splash, heard the laughter, but saw no one. Okay, right. In need of commas. Needless to say, my 11-year-old self was scared shitless. I booked it to the house and banged on the door. They were all in the living room in bathing suits waiting for me. Everyone was dry. Oh gosh. I told my friend's dad. No apostrophe S, so it's just I told my friend's dad what happened to me and how there was a girl laughing and a splash, and I don't know how it happened. He told me a girl died in that pool before his parents bought the house. Apparently, the neighbors had a daughter and got into the pool and drowned.
Could you imagine going to a friend's house and you just get there and you tell them the story and they're like, oh yeah, apparently a girl died there.
Yeah,
coming from a supposedly fully grown adult.
Happened all the time, I bet.
That seems so ordinary. Everyone would do that.
When I was a kid, like no adult would ever admit to like anything being supernatural. I don't know why.
Exactly.
It is like in all of these stories, it seems like all the adults are just immediately willing to buy into it.
Oh yeah, a girl died in there.
Like,
what do you expect?
That explains everything.
I asked my parents about it since my dad has lived in the neighborhood his entire life, and my grandparents bought their house a street over after World War II. I figured he would have heard of this little girl's death. He confirmed the story my friend's father told me. This wasn't the only creepy thing that happened to me at my friend's grandparents. We spent a lot of time there as kids, but this one to my spine. My friend is in a house and I am there often. Sometimes after a late night or a night of partying, but early in the morning. Money or time to maintain, especially since all kids are adults. I never felt like I was in danger. No. Oh, shoot.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, it was just breaking up a lot.
Yeah.
It sounds fine now.
Yeah, it's good now.
Was it breaking up for you too, Mort?
Yeah, since you said when you said late night LAN session, it just kind of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, that's probably my crappy internet. Let's see here. Yeah, I've got really bad reception for some reason.
I guess if that happens,
all right, let me
because it's streaming from my session of the Skype call. If you start to break up, then I'll just type in the chat like, "Hey, we lost you," and then I'll kind of take over and stall for a little while you get back on.
Okay. Let's see here. LAN session. Sometimes after a late night LAN session or a night of partying, I live early in the morning, like 3 or 4 a.m., and I hear a splash. They don't keep the pool up anymore because the pool needs to relined, and they don't have the money or time to maintain a pool, especially if all the kids are adults now.
I think this writer needs to relined.
Especially since if the kids are adults now. I never felt like I was in danger, though. It felt more like the ghost was trying to play with me, another kid her age, than harm me. Whoa. There was no anger or sinister feelings at all, but still it was creepy. I'll post more stories from that house if anyone is interested.
Now I really want to see, like, if we go down in the comment. No comments.
No comments
No.
yet. Yeah.
Oh, I guess there won't be any more stories from that house.
Nah, we're good, bro. We're good.
Excited about what relined in that pool.
What is it about like a supernatural presence that would ever make anyone feel like it was just playful?
Yeah.
I'm not sure really. I wouldn't see it as playful. I'd always find it as quite creepy and concerning. But that's just me.
Wow.
Like, I think I've seen enough TV shows and heard enough stories that when they're trying to be playful, they're probably not trying to be playful. It's probably something else entirely. But you're just getting suckered in. I think it's playful.
You just think it is.
Then you end up in the 8th layer of hell, and that'll be a great time.
Well, when we do the next episode, hopefully we'll have some decent commas.
Yeah, hopefully. That was tough.
One of the submissions I got was actually like an audio submission, which I didn't really expect. But that would be interesting because it should already be narrated out properly, so we won't have to stumble on anything trying to figure out.
Oh, is that from another narrator, or is it from just a person?
It's from I don't think he's a YouTube narrator, but he has like the series on SoundCloud.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's already like properly recorded and everything, so we just have to play it back and chime in with our comments.
Right on.
I don't know if I'll do that. I don't know if I'll do that in the first one, like maybe once we get a couple of stories into it. Just so that, like, people can come and hear us attempting to narrate people's stories first.
Yeah. A proper stream first.
Yeah. But anyway, that is all of the time that we have for this episode. If you have a story that you'd like us to read here on the show, or if you find out any news going on around the YouTube horror community that we might be able to talk about, send an email to czworld@gmail.com. Rabbit, where can the people find you on social media?
You can follow my Twitter at Lady White Rabbit, white spelled WITE, or Lady White Rabbit on YouTube, or Lady White Rabbit on Facebook.
And Mort, I know it's getting late for you, but how can the fans connect with you on the internet before you head off for the night?
Well, you can follow my completely unoriginal Twitter and or Instagram handle at the Mortis Media, obviously. So.
Why do you say it's unoriginal? Just because it's the same name?
It's the same name and everything, so easy.
I feel like that's like the best practice, though.